part of what I want to do with this channel is just learn things as I go and just kind of try new techniques as I build up, so that in 5 years, 10 years from now, I look back and I can just see the amount of growth that I've had. With that being said, I want to try 2 different techniques on a box. I've made a couple jewelry boxes now and I've been really happy with the results. So now I want to take 2 different techniques that I've been kind of playing with and add them into a special jewelry box for my wife. Now those 2 techniques are going to be the CNC, and I'm gonna do a little bit of handcrafting whittling to go along with it. The story behind this box is my wife loves birds. She loves the little birds. They're so cute. Their personalities are amazing. These are our birds. When she got her first bird, he's a little green guy named Sprout, and he had the biggest personality. He's a crazy guy. He's so funny. Unfortunately, there was an incident and he passed away really young. And it was really hard because he was literally my wife's best little friend. He was on her shoulder everywhere that she went. Bringing that back to the 2 techniques that I'm gonna be using. The CNC, I wanted to be able to get a little carve out because I want a lid topper for it. So I carved out a little Sprout, and I'm trying to add a little touches on it. I wasn't sure if I could do it, so I did it off camera, but it turned out pretty good, so we're just gonna roll with it. The second technique is gonna go into the way that I do the legs of the box. I've done legs 2 different ways in the past. I've made them as a part of the box by just cutting into the wood this way. And I also tried one time, I did little cutouts for this planter box, you see? How they kind of sits like that. I'm gonna do this kind of method doing the legs using this piece of wood, but where I'm gonna put the whittling in is I'm gonna make these kind of float into the box a little more, and I want to have a nice kind of lift up at the end. I think I can do it. I don't think it's gonna be too hard. I think the hardest part is just gonna be making them all as even as possible, but even then I think the hardest part for the legs is just gonna be making them all even, but even then it should be fine. Actually, as I'm looking at this, these look pretty even and they're not at all, so we should be good. Now let's talk wood. As I said, this is gonna be used for the legs. I'm planning on cutting it and then stripping it down here, so I should get 4 legs out of it pretty easily. For the body, we have a quarter sawn white oak. I think that it's gonna pop really well once I get it all cleaned up. And for the lid, I'm using this. I don't know what type of wood this is, but I think it's gonna go really well with the white oak and then with this as the legs. And I also got the little Sprout out of this piece of wood, so it should work with the legs too. First step, I'm cutting it all to size. I just realized I didn't even think about measurements, so I think I'm gonna go like, it's not gonna be a big box. I'm thinking 3 inches by 4 inches by maybe 2 or 3 inches. Let's gonna play with it and see what happens. This time I'm going 2.5 inches on the sides, 5 inches on the length. So I have my stop block set right now at 5 inches, and I'm gonna just pull it in a little bit to 2.5 inches to get the sides. I'm just going 45-degree cuts on these. The legs are gonna cover up the seam, so I don't have to worry about that. And they're also gonna provide a lot more connection strength too. So 45-degree cuts gonna make it easy. I got all the sides cut out for the box, but I need to out myself real fast. I didn't cut the wood equally down the middle, but luckily I used the same piece for these sides and for these sides, so it's like equally off. Now what I'm gonna do, since the 45s don't really line up, I'm gonna focus on the inside corner, because then I can just remove material from the outside to push it in, and then it's getting covered by the leg. My next step is to turn this into the bottom shelf for this. So how did I get the measurements? Thanks for asking. Caliper and combination square. Since I'm gonna be focusing on the inside corner right here, I thought simple enough, let's just measure the insides from here and the insides from here to get the length and the width. That brought me to 4.7 and 2.3. So I set my combination square to those lengths and just wrote it across both sides. So now I'm gonna go cut this out on the miter saw and then come back and we're gonna start to glue up. Got the shelf cut out, and I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm taking full advantage of every bit of cover up as I can for this, because I'm just kind of winging it, but I know that there's gonna be a lot of spaces, especially because of those legs that are getting covered. So for the glue up, what I'm paying attention to, I want it to be as perfect in the middle as possible. I don't care about the outside corners because I can fix those. A lot harder to fix the inside. And then the bottom, I can come through, sand up, clean up later. So I'm gonna glue this up. Let's see how it turns out. Also part of covering it up, I got some small nails that are gonna help me keep the place. Okay. That was not a super fun time, but I think we're gonna be all right. The only way to figure it out is to let it sit while I work on the legs. I think the easiest way, I'm gonna do 1-inch strips. So I'm just gonna get one 1-inch strip and then cut it down to, I'm gonna do 4 inches. So I'm gonna take these over to the router. I'm gonna put a 1/2 inch bit on, and I'm just gonna take out this corner basically, so that way I can start whittling it out down this way. And it's gonna come to a little foot coming out. Think of like a bathtub. I think it's gonna be cool. Why does it have to tear like that? Every time. We got our box glue together. Let me show you what I was talking about. I just wanted to make sure that these corners were as close as possible. You can see it's not perfect. There's a little gap right there, but that's fine. No one's gonna see it. So let's stand it down. And these are the legs. So it started off whittling. That did not work very well. I was having such a hard time just not like chunking out a bunch of wood every time. So I ended up using my belt sander, and I basically just kind of held it here, went around, held it here, went up, and then just cleaned it all up. And now they look like beautiful legs. When I put it on, they're gonna look kind of like this. Now, you can see it's not quite going all the way up. Most of that is because of this, so that should be fixed right now. Much better, much better. Now I want to see what it looks like with the legs on, without the bit hanging over the edge. There's gonna be more adjustments that I need to make, that's fine. That's why I'm going kind of step by step. It's pretty close. Here's what I'm gonna do. You can tell here there's a little bit of space. I'm gonna glue the legs on, and then I'm just gonna take them back to the belt sander, and I'm gonna touch it up until it's flush on the top and flat on the bottom. I think it's gonna turn out really good. So let's glue it up. Take that back. I'm gonna sand the box, and then I'm gonna glue it up. As you can see, we got the legs being glued up right now. So I wanna put the topper onto the lid. I just took some tape, put it on the bottom of this, used my hole punch to get my marks on here, use that same piece of tape, put it down in the middle. Now, all right, I winged it. I don't know if you can tell, but I winged that. That's not bad. The next part is to fix this top part, oil it all up, put the hardware on, and we got a box. We're looking pretty decent. Let me go put some finishing touches up with the sander and then oil it all up. Touch at the top. Now let me make sure these legs are good. We're using tongue oil. I love a good first oil. Look at that. Night and day. The hardware is on and the box is done. I'm really happy with how this turned out. The hardware went on really well. One thing I've learned with the hardware that I started doing, because I kept breaking all the screws off of all these, mostly because I got cheap stuff, but I break screws off other things too. So for the hardware on these, what I started doing was I made the hole a little bit bigger when I was drilling in, just small enough to get the screw in there, but I put a little dab of Gorilla Glue on the inside. Can't see the glue, it's gonna hold it all together. I don't need to break any screws, perfect. Overall, this was a pretty fun build. I learned a lot, especially when it came to the legs. And my first thought when I looked at this was like, oh man, now the inside looks bare. So we're gonna get some boxes, we're gonna get some other stuff made. This is probably just the beginning of a whole lot of random stuff to be made, but I think this turned out really well. I'm so happy with the legs. Like the legs turned out way better than I thought they were going to, and I thought they were gonna be perfect. If you enjoyed this process and you wanna see more, hit that subscribe button and follow along for more. Hello, I am a box.